because the press has been so neutered by their corporate bosses, they won't even counter Donald Trump at a press conference in a room full of reporters, highly paid, when he spouts complete inaccuracies about everything he's saying. They won't even push back. He'll say something about immigration. They're all rapists. We know that they are. We all know, because we've researched it because of him, that immigrants commit less crime than natural-born citizens. Yeah. We all know that now. The next question at the press conference was, hey, what do you think about Jeb Bush? Nobody says you're fucking wrong about all the facts.
I know, but
no one ever pushes back to him. Chuck Todd let him say all that shit all day long because he was on his helicopter.
I understand, and everybody, there's no question that there could be a more instant toughness. But even when there is toughness, even when there is a challenge to Trump, which certainly a lot of writers have done, and it's all over the... It doesn't matter. It's right now, it just suits him. I mean, the pushback is greeted as, look at the people against him. And he's like, look what I have to deal with, these crazy liberals.
There's no pushback.
There's something.
There's almost zero pushback, Ben. So that's a fantasy that's not happening. I watched his press conferences. No one's pushing back on him. I watched him for a half hour with Chuck Todd, the #1 political reporter in the country. He didn't push back on him at all. You know what he pushed back on him on? That he brags about going to Wharton School too much. That's what he pushed back on him on. Not that he's a race baiter, that he followed the president
around. So he pushed back on something that actually happened.
Yes.
Like he did go to Wharton.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So he didn't push back on him that he's splitting the country, race baiting the president for 2 years. What did your guys find in Hawaii that you said they couldn't believe what they were finding? Nothing. You know who asked that question? Wolf Blitzer asked Donald Trump that question. Hey, what about those guys in Hawaii you said were finding?
Good for Wolf.
Chuck Todd didn't bring it up. By the way, Donald Trump has been going around saying how broken the political system is because he buys everybody. Chuck Todd didn't come up. Didn't come up, the biggest issue in politics right now. He keeps talking about it on 24 million people saw him talk about it, brag about how he buys politicians. Chuck Todd didn't even bring it up. So the reporter, that's why Donald Trump is still a phenomenon. This is another part of it, is also revealing why we have a job, is because corporate news is fucking worthless.
What's the percentage of Americans who want to see campaign finance report?
96%.
Right, so I thought it was 80, but whatever. So this astronomically high number, and Trump admits in the press conference at the debate in this wonderfully authentic moment, brags that, again, a thing people like because it was an honest moment, right?
Yes.
Right. No, this is what do. I give them money and they do what I want. He says, right? And 96% of people, some astronomically high figure, want campaign finance report, and Chuck Todd doesn't bring it up.
Look, I agree with both of you, actually, because Ben's right. There are writers who write about it all the time. That's why there's all this hubbub, and that's why he's received all this attention. You're right. They don't question him on the spot in the press conferences and the big interviews like Chuck Todd. So it's a little bit of both, but it is quite amazing that no one has asked him, like, did you ever have moral qualms about bribing all those politicians? Because you say you bribed them. You say you wanted something in return, and you gave them money.
We know what he's saying.
And what's your plan to fix that, though? That would be the next question.
That's right.
Do you think it should be fixed?
Right. And
why would he? Why would he after his career?
Remember in 2012, and Michelle Bachmann and Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich and Santorum and all the guys trying to, who were some of the other crazy people trying to challenge Romney? Herman Cain, I guess with I got it with Bachmann and Cain, right? Mm-hmm. So, and we were like, and we referred to the clownish nature of it. And then at the beginning of this year, the consensus was, I don't know whether you guys all agreed, but I certainly felt part of it. I'm more likely to fall into groupthink, I guess, than you are. But like, there was a notion, it seemed that this was a much more reputable field. Certainly, Republican operatives thought, look at this field, look at all, we may have 16 guys, but we got 7, 8, 9 of them who can beat Hillary Clinton, who were like real
popular governors.
Popular governors. And it seemed agreeable, right? That seemed true on some base level.
On paper.
And now we have entered into this insane phase where, because the Republican Party has not found their cliff, they're reaching. They keep moving. It's that way. It's that way. It's to my right. I know it is, but they never get there. So now what would appear to have been a much stronger field is going to continue to go, wait, there's more room there. Let's get to the point where we deport 40% of Los Angeles, 30% of Los Angeles, some astronomical percentage of the country. Let's get to the point where, again, we could go back generations and generations because people won't have records. Like, I have a birth certificate, you have a birth certificate, you have a birth certificate, we know where it is. Our parents, some of them probably can find their birth certificates.
My mother-in-law couldn't. She just had to get a passport. She could not get a hold of her birth certificate.
I had trouble the last time I looked.
Yeah, and here's who's definitely not going to be able to find it. immigrants.
Right,
They're going to have a very tough time finding that stuff. So, so it's not just this generation, as you pointed out with your family. It could drop back 2 generations, 3 generations.
But I feel like we need to say this because it should be obvious, but I don't know that it's obvious. And I saw Trump's campaign manager. He was being interviewed by some reporter, and the campaign manager said we have to revoke, the birthright citizenship. And the reporter, to his credit, said, "Well, how would you actually go about doing that?" And the guy didn't answer, and then there was no follow-up. And they keep saying on Fox and Friends and the Five, I hear over and over, "Oh, the law can be changed. The law can be." It's not a law.
Yeah,
it's not a law.
It's a constitution.
It's not a law. It's in the Constitution. And this is the party that says that they are for the plain language of the Constitution. We're not supposed to be interpreting it with our new morals and all of that. It says that they're citizens. And Trump recently said, "Oh, there's a lot of good lawyers that don't know one way or the other. And I saw someone who talked to the guy who sponsored such and such, and he said he meant for foreigners to not be included." On any other fucking issue having to do with the Constitution, are they interested in what some lawyer's friend who was interviewed said? No, they don't fucking care. It's in the Constitution. They're citizens.
Donald Trump is saying, literally, he's saying, we're going to test it in court and see if it's constitutional. You're going to see if the Constitution is constitutional. That's what he's saying.
It's an open question.
We're going to go see if the 14th Amendment, that's not a separate part of that is part of the Constitution.
And by the way,
it's constitutional on its face. I mean, by definition, it's part of it. Go ahead, John.
Is there anything else, I think, that right now better exemplifies the different priorities that we have? That here at this table, we desperately want a constitutional amendment as well. But we want it because we want to save American democracy while there's still a shred of it left. They think that there are some young Hispanic kids that shouldn't be citizens. Yeah. So they're willing to fight. They're willing to tear the country apart to accomplish that goal.
So this is their Ann Coulter, Frankenstein, on paper sounds like a great idea on right-wing talk radio at our racist parties when we're all drinking. This sounds like a great idea. We'll repeal the 14th Amendment and then all these Mexicans can't vote and we'll win again. But in reality, just like libertarianism sounds good on paper, in reality, what they're doing is sealing their fate that they're going to lose this presidential election to either Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. It will happen. So that's what they're doing here. They're just sealing their fate.